Hey. Uh-oh. There we go. Had to make sure that the camera was catching up. What's going on, everybody? Hey, what's up? What's good? Hello to the Building the Village family. What's up, villagers? Welcome. First time villagers, long time villagers, however you classify yourself as a listener to this show. Got all the lights and everything finally settled, so I don't have to stall anymore. Welcome back to the Building the Village podcast. As always, I'm your host, Dr. Brandon W. Jones, and I'm so excited to have you all tuning in to episode number 41 of the Building the Village podcast, where we focus on how to build better villages, one villager at a time. And again, glad you're here with me today. Over the past couple of years, many of us have faced unique challenges, but one particular challenge stands out to me, and that's the ability to stay connected in a world that sometimes feels like it's pulling us apart, whether it's through politics, whether it's through school, whether it's through differences in how we communicate, differences in how we identify, all these different things. There's a lot that's pulling us apart. And shoot, whether it was the quarantine during the pandemic, remote work and learning, or just adjusting to whatever the new normal is in your life, especially if you've transitioned from another city or from another job to a new office, whatever the case may be, the question of how do we make and keep friendships has been on many of our minds. And for me, I think it's important because, for me, both of my kids are attending new schools. My daughter is attending a middle school, and my son is attending a new elementary school. And so I'm seeing firsthand with my own children how they're navigating transition. But I also work at a major university where I see students year in and year out struggling to make that transition from high school to college, or to transfer from one university to the next, to make that transition from undergrad to graduate school. But at the core of it is this inability or this struggle to make meaningful connections. And so I thought it'd be good to do something interesting, something that I like to do. People who know me know that I love connecting people together, but more importantly, I like making friends. And so today we're going to dive into a very important topic. We're going to dive into a very important conversation, and that's actually how to make friends. Because at the end of the day, making friends, is something that at one point in our lives we all wanted to do. And I know that through being an extrovert or an introvert, or through life circumstances, some of us may or may not necessarily like people like that. One of the things I was thinking about is, as we prepare for the holiday season, specifically Christmas, there's a classic that people often refer to is How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And for me, I was having a conversation with a friend the other day, and one of the things I was telling her was that it's not that the Grinch hated Christmas, the Grinch hated people, because he had a trauma that was born around the way people treated him. And so as a result, people's jolliness and happiness during the Christmas time kind of made him standoffish and aloof. Or, if you want to charge me up and challenge me on that, you can. But that's my interpretation of it. He just hated people. And me being the extrovert and people loving person that I am, I can't comprehend or understand that. But anyways, I want to talk today about ways that people can go about making friends. And before we go any further, just real quick, please, however you're listening to this, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe wherever you are listening to this from, especially if you're on YouTube. If you get anything out of today's episode, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. So here's the first thing. Number one, please be smart. Be very, very, very smart about the people you choose to spend your time with, especially if you're going to call them a friend. It's okay to be smart about this. In fact, I'm encouraging being smart. We want to be intentional with the people we invite into our lives. When we're lonely or disconnected, it's very tempting to want to jump into any kind of friendship, whether these people mean us well or not. But not every connection is a good connection. Think about it like this. Do you want to spend your time with someone or some people who do nothing but drain your energy or pull you in the wrong direction? No, exactly. So being smart about friendships means choosing people who uplift, people who support, people who may have your shared values or you have a mutual respect for. Those are the kind of people you want to pursue. Now, what does that look like for you? In your daily life, what does it look like for you to be smart about the people that you're choosing to involve in your daily life? Maybe it's someone who shares your passion for a sport, or maybe it's someone you've noticed who's always kind for others. This morning, as I was taking my daughter to school, they were dressing up as elves and as Santa's little helpers. And one of the things that I was telling her was, this is a good opportunity for you to compliment someone else who's dressed up today. Everybody else is going to be dressed up. And I know you might be nervous about making friends or connecting, but find some people who share your passion for anime. Find someone who shares your passion for dressing up for Christmas. And lo and behold, after school today, she told me that she made a connection after complimenting another student at her school. Now, I realize that that might seem like a small example, but you would be surprised at how far a compliment even goes when choosing friends. So, again, first thing we want to do is be smart. Here's the second thing, and it seems like it's going to be the most obvious of my points, but you would be surprised at how many of us miss it when trying to make friends. The second thing you want to do when trying to make friends is actually being friendly. Pausing for dramatic effect. You want to be friendly because here's the thing, friendships don't just magically happen. You have to actually be a friend to make a friend. Now, I know somebody out there is saying, I can't believe this. That's too much work. I'm tired of putting everything into friendships and relationships and it not working out. That might just be because we weren't smart about the people we were choosing, or it's possible that we didn't have anything in common, or people evolved and moved on. Here's the thing though. You gotta be friendly to make friends, because I don't know about you, but I don't like spending my time around people who aren't friendly, because people who aren't friendly aren't good for the village. The show is called Building the Village. The thing that I talk about every week is how to make better villages one villager at a time. And people who are not friendly for various reasons make it very difficult to navigate your daily life. And so you have to be a friend to make a friend. Now, here's what that means. This means you have to step outside your comfort zone and be approachable. Now, I have to pause because I know my audience and I know some of my friends who listen to this. I am not saying water yourself down. I'm not saying don't be your authentic self. What I am saying, though, is hey, lower the concrete barricade just a little bit, enough to where somebody can see your face and make eye contact with you and say hello or good morning. It's not a threat. It's not a bad thing. Be friendly. Sometimes smile, ask questions, show genuine interest in other people. Because again, to make friends, you got to show yourself as someone who is friendly. And sometimes it's the simplest of gestures, like smiling or asking questions or sending a quick text to check in on people or inviting other people to grab coffee. It can really go a long way in showing people you care. It can also go a long way in helping you make friends. Again, I know that it sounds very simple. I know that it sounds very elementary, but you would be surprised at how many of us miss out on this. There was a previous episode of the podcast where I talked about the art of human connection due to the pandemic, due to quarantining, due to having to isolate and do remote work. did do some damage to our ability to build community. And that's one of the reasons why this podcast exists. That's one of the reasons why I put this show out there, is because I want I want to help people get back to connecting. And I want to do that one person at a time. And so, as people are listening to the podcast, as I do workshops, as I'm doing coaching sessions, I'm trying to encourage people to get back to the lost art of being friendly. And so, think about it right now. I want you to write this reflection question down. What's a small step you can take this week to show someone that you actually value them? What's one step that you can take this week to show someone that you can value them? By thinking about this question and coming up with a response, you may be able to create a connection with someone that could lead to a valuable or a long lasting friendship, simply because you showed yourself as friendly in pursuit of making a friend. Here's the last and final part. Not only do we have to be smart and be friendly, the last thing is you got to be present. Now, being present sounds like what it is. It's being present. It's about showing up, but not just physically. You also have to show up emotionally. Y'all, people have needs. Life happens, or as my students say, life be lifing sometimes, right? So being present means not only did I physically show up and sit down on the couch, or I opened up the FaceTime, but I made myself emotionally available to be present for someone who was in need of my attention, or who was in need of my time because of something they were dealing with. In a world that's filled with distractions, offering somebody your undivided attention is a rare and beautiful gift, because we've got our phones right there as we're talking and having coffee with each other. Or sometimes we're in meetings and we're getting emails and trying to multitask. In a world where all of those things are fighting for our eyes and for us to stay logged into different apps, giving somebody your undivided attention is a very rare and beautiful gift that I pray that you all choose to share with others. Think about this. Think about a time when somebody really listened to you. And I mean, they took their time, they listened to you. What did they do? What were the actions that they took that made you feel like, oh my gosh, they're really listening to me? And I want you to also remember, how did it make you feel when you noticed that that person you were interacting with was listening to you? Guess what? If you can recall those actions, why not try to be that person for somebody else? Start by being available, whether it's in small everyday moments or by creating intentional opportunities to connect over coffee. Some During the pandemic, one of the things that I liked that got created were these online gaming groups. So there's these groups that play Call of Duty together, or NBA 2K, or these different book clubs that emerged. And one of the things that came out of that for a lot of people who struggle to connect in person was the ability to digitally engage with others. And I have nothing against virtual communities. In fact, I applaud them, and I think that they're some of the most meaningful relationships. What I would challenge people to do, though, is the folks that are struggling with transitions, the people that struggle to make friends, to make meaningful connections, I really want to focus on them in this particular episode, because a lot of the people that listen to this show, I know, struggle with human connection. They struggle with forming lasting relationships because different things happen over time, and people start just kind of isolating and going at life in isolation, or doing it solo dolo, as some of my friends like to say. And I just don't think we were designed to do life in isolation or absent from community. And so, what are some practical takeaways that we can add to the end of this episode here as we close? One, I want to encourage you to pray or reflect, right? Think about the people around you. And I want you to think, who is somebody that might be in need of a friend? Is it you? Is it that person that's seemingly sitting by themselves at lunch every day? Is it that person that nobody ever invites to go to lunch at work, or that person that is always at their desk having their lunch closed off from everybody else. Maybe that's a person to reach out to and connect. I quote this. I quote Bishop Jakes all the time. He once said, "If you have a need, plant a seed." This is an opportunity to plant a seed of friendship if you're desiring friendship. That's the first practical takeaway. The second thing is I want to note an observation. I want you to practice your observation skills. Who are the types of people you naturally connect with in the village? Maybe it's a classmate, a coworker, or somebody in your community, or excuse me, let me rephrase that. Not what types of people, but who are the people? Who is somebody in your life that you naturally connect with? Maybe it's one of those people, your classmate, your coworker, or somebody in your community. I want to encourage you to look around and see those people you naturally connect with and ask yourself, what is it about them that creates that natural connection? And from there, I want you to figure out how you can replicate that and use that skill to make connections in the community. Here's the last thing. I want you to take action. I want you to use those natural connections with those people that you naturally connect with to deepen relationships. And it could be as simple for those of you who are in school. It could be as simple as starting a study group or inviting someone to join a virtual meetup. In some cases, it might be going out and doing a coffee meetup. I know I keep throwing coffee out there. I love my dark roast, no sweetener, no creamer, no sugar. But anyways, that's just me. So if you ever go to coffee with me, please know I very much just a black coffee drinker. But take action. So again, 3 practical takeaways: pray or reflect, observe, and take action. And I think if you do those things, I think that's how we'll be able to find a way to make and establish those lasting and deeper connections with people. Listen, if you got something out of this episode today, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and also share the YouTube. My YouTube subscriptions are growing, so thank you all very much for spreading the word and sharing about this show. But also feel free to follow me on social media. I no longer have B Jones Speaks on Twitter, but I am on Instagram. And in 2025, I am working on developing a Substack. So I'll provide more details about that in the days ahead. But until the next time, remember this: building meaningful friendships takes effort, but it's so worth it. I want everybody that's listening, regardless of whether you're listening to this episode when it first comes out or later on down the line, I want everybody that listens to this episode to commit to taking one step this week toward building a better village. And that starts with our friendships. So take care of yourselves and each other. Y'all have a good one. Peace.